Hey, today I have two books to review for you guys, so I'm going to try and kill two birds with one stone and talk about both of them in today's video. And those books are The Book of Blood and Shadow by Robin Wasserman and Berserk by Michael Grant. Let's start with this one, shall we? The Book of Blood and Shadow is about a girl named Nora who's living in Prague, translating these letters from the original language to English, and her friend is killed, and she is somehow linked to all these conspiracy theories in this book that may or may not exist, etc., etc. I want to start off with characterization. The characterization of the book is very lacking. I didn't really like Nora as a character. I felt like she wasn't even there. I don't think first person went well with this book. I thought that since it was a murder mystery, she needed to be narrated for in order to experience what she was experiencing, because I feel like we were just seeing through her eyes, but we weren't getting her mind, so I didn't feel any thoughts and feelings coming from Nora, so the characterization of the book pretty much lacked. The pacing of the book, it's a very slow paced book, and it picks up and then it drops down again, and it just does that over and over again. I mean, it's really one of those books that you've got to be able to sit down and devote all your time to, and it's got to be something that you are willing to put the effort into reading, because it is a monster of a book, and the pacing is very fluctuating. It's a murder mystery, so obviously it's going to move around a lot, different things are going to happen, you're going to have to keep track of everything, which leads me to the complexity of the plot. It is a very complex plot, and you're going to have to make sure that you are keeping track of all the plot points and of all the characters, because if you aren't, then you're going to be screwed when you're trying to remember who's who, what's what, why is why, and everything in between. Berserk by Michael Grant. This is the first book in the Berserk series, so there's no spoilers for any prior books since there aren't any. And as far as pacing goes in this book, it was very fast-paced. I read it in a day, and it's one of those books that you can read pretty lightly, but you have to be sure that you understand the motivations of characters and the two different organizations in this group. The book revolves around Nexus Humanus and Berserk, which are two opposing organizations. Nexus Humanus is trying to create a utopia and is basically trying to force people into it, and Berserk is just vying for their freedom. They don't want to be in this utopian society because they believe it'll be corrupt, since nobody's volunteering to be a part of it. Because if you're forcing somebody into utopian society, it's not utopian anymore, it's dystopian, and then this would be a dystopian novel, just like every other book in the world. So it's a really fast-paced book, but you do have to make sure that you understand both sides and that you're not reading it too quickly. Like, the actual text is fast-paced, just make sure that you aren't going way too fast to the point where you are confused as to who's who, what's what, and why's why. The plot of the book is really intriguing, and I think that that's what the book has going for it, because the characterization is very hard to keep track of because it's multiple characters and multiple perspectives, just like the Gone series, which this is very different from, so don't expect the Gone series from this book. But the alternating perspectives made it hard for characterization. So I think that the plot is the highlight of the book, the Nexus Humanus versus Berserk, the different political aspects, the ways that they communicate with each other, and that they fear each other, and they also respect each other. It's just a very interesting world that they live in, so I'm excited to see how everything plays out in the second book. Okay, I fit both books in here in under 5 minutes. If you want to read my text reviews of either of those two books, I'll link to them down below. If you want to watch any of my book reviews, you can turn autoplay on this playlist. I have Pandemonium, Cross, Gregor the Overlander, whatever you like, go check it out. And you can also check out the blog, which I'll link to down below. I'll also put my Twitter, my Facebook, my Tumblr, not my Facebook, I'll put the PotterPeoplePodcast Facebook. And yes, the next book that I'll be reviewing could potentially be Black City by Elizabeth Richards. This is an advanced reader's copy, though. It comes out in November, so I'm not sure, depending on how many details of the book would contain spoilers, if I wanted to talk about it, I may or may not review it. So it just depends on how much of the book I think could be considered spoiler-free, since it is not even a released book yet. So we'll have to see. But it's a very good book so far. I'm 100 pages in. So, bye. Go see Brave in theaters if you haven't. It's a great movie.